Real education must ultimately be limited to men who insist on knowing. The rest is mere sheep herding, said Ezra Pound. Well, he didn't really say it, he wrote it the best part of 100 years ago. We'll come back and talk about this quote in just a moment. Proverbs, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. We'll come back and talk about that as well. We're also going to take a quick look at a short section from a recent IPS deprogramming where Tim made a very good point, and it's one that you don't hear many people talking about in this corner of the internet, so we'll come back and talk about that as well. First, I want to let you know there is another clip show waiting for you right now. You can join the free JLB Patreon to access these clip shows. It doesn't cost a cent, and there's no catch. It's not like a join for $1 and in a month it goes to more or something like this. Quite literally free to join the free JLB Patreon. Get access to this episode. It's called Known Unknowns. And in this one, I play clips from Quantum of Conscience, Tim Mosman, Ab the Fakeologist, and friends Lynn Ertel, Sarah, and more. The topics include post-Gibby dating, truther anger, the time hoax, titillation versus truth, and of course, known unknowns. The free JLB Patreon has been growing slowly but steadily. There's now over 200 people there, which is terrific, but there's still a lot of people here on YouTube who haven't gone and joined the free JLB Patreon. And what I'm trying to do is move as many of the people who like my content as possible over to that free JLB Patreon because it works the way that YouTube used to work. The notification system doesn't really seem to work on YouTube very well anymore, but it still does over on the free Patreon facility. So go and join that free JLB Patreon, get access to this episode and many more that are waiting for you right now. The link to that will be in the pinned comment below. So getting back to this quote from Ezra Pound, and it doesn't really matter who said it, it's just the idea. I want to know if you agree with this idea that real education, that is the process of teaching and learning, must ultimately be limited to those who insist on knowing, and the rest is merely sheep herding. With the idea being that you could have a class of 20 people, could be children, could be adults, doesn't really matter. And if you've got 2 or 3 people there who do want to learn, they understand that there are things they don't yet know, but they want to know, what are the other 17 or 18 kids or people, adults even, who don't want to learn? What are they doing there? It's possible that you remember your days in school and perhaps you were one of the children who was being kept back by this no child left behind concept, and your learning was being hampered by the fact that the teacher had to teach to the redacts you were surrounded by. Or maybe you were one of the redacts holding back the other people. Or maybe you don't feel like you fit into either of those groups. You were just a regular, middle, mediocre student. Or perhaps in some classes you were excelling, in others you were holding the others back. Whatever the case, hopefully you can think through this idea of, if there are some people there to learn, what are the others doing there? Maybe they're not there by accident. Maybe they serve a purpose. But that purpose won't be to help the people who are trying to learn. Ultimately, they're all just being sheep herded. And if you insist on knowing, then what are you doing towards that objective? Are you surrounding yourself by people or consuming content that tells you what you think you already know? Or are you trying to challenge what you think you already know? Moving on to this one, Proverbs. Now, by the way, if you're new to my channel, I'm not one of those biblical people or neo-Christian people or any of this. In fact, I've done work over at johnlebon.com exposing what I call the Bible hoax. I don't think this book is more than 200 years old. You see, in our reality, you've got the Bible believers, the so-called Christians, who think that it's 2,000 years old or more. Then you've got the atheists, the non-believers, who also believe the Bible is 2,000 years old. Then you've got John LeBon, the skeptic, who tried to trace the sources. Where does this book come from? We all think it's 2,000 years old, but what are the sources? So I traced the sources, and what I discovered shook me to the depths of my miserable soul. But regardless of how old this book is, there's some good stuff in there, including this proverb: a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. Have you ever caught yourself in a conversation with somebody and you've noticed that this person, they might be speaking the same language as you, and they might seem pleasant enough and cordial or jovial enough, but at a certain point you realize we're just going around in circles here. This person's not trying to understand where you're coming from or where anybody else is coming from. He's not looking at the different perspectives that are out there and trying to think through or work through which one makes the most sense. He's certainly not trying to learn, but he will talk and talk and talk and talk. So long as you will listen, he'll keep talking. Have you ever had this kind of experience before? I'm guessing you probably have. And so in this world of endless content creation and mainstream media content, the movies, the TV shows, the news stories, the YouTubers, the TikTokers, it just goes, it's endless, it's non-stop. So much information and so many opinions. How can you tell the difference between the fool and the learned? These aren't rhetorical questions, folks. I want your comments in the comment section below. Now, even though Tim Osman and I disagree on some fundamentally important things, such as the idea that he or any of these YouTube truthers can know that these events are 100% fake, and also the idea that any of these coincidences that we see in the movies and the TV shows before a major event are evidence of some clandestine group planning these things decades ahead of time, and people like Tim and some others, they seem 100% certain that this is predictive programming and none of it is a coincidence. It was all done intentionally. He and I disagree on that. Despite this fact, I still listen to his material, and sometimes I learn stuff from it. In fact, some of the stuff he says even makes it into the JLB Clip Show, which, like I said, I'll link to the latest episode. You can download this or stream it for free. Just go and join that free JLB Patreon. So even though he says a lot of stuff that I disagree with, sometimes he says stuff that I didn't know before, and I learn. And sometimes he says stuff that I do agree with, and I'm glad that he said it. Take a listen to this.
We live in a perfect system. I think it's perfect what they've done. It's not like it's ever going to be reconciled or solved. This is the perpetual war. It's like a tug of war. Orwell wrote about it. And it maintains peace through war. War is peace. It's actually true. And I'm not convinced this is a bad thing. I'm really not. I'm really questioning whether this is just some sort of benevolent dictatorship, some kind of utopia, which is my conclusion based on the fact that they've switched from physical war to mind war.
Now, I've heard Tim speak about these kinds of ideas before, and I like the idea that he remains open-minded to the possibility that the people who are behind all of this, if indeed it is people, that is the deception in the news, the bullshit stories, whether that's about outer space or dinosaurs or terrorists trying to kill us or invisible body-possessing demons trying to kill grandma, any of this stuff, whoever or whatever is behind this, I like to hear people who are still open-minded to the possibility that this is not the forces of darkness and evil that are behind it. It could be that. I'm open-minded to that as well, but it might not be. I think it's important to maintain an open mind, because ultimately, I don't know. And I don't think you do either. But a lot of people become dogmatic in their faith, especially in the truth circles, that we are living basically in hell. This place is being run by the forces of darkness. Evil is behind everything we see. And basically, we'd better hope that Jesus comes back soon. That's what it all boils down to for a lot of people. And they might be right, but I don't see how they could be certain. And I'm not sure if that's really the kind of worldview you'd want to live with, is it? That you're living in hell and the forces of darkness control the place? Seems to me like a shitty worldview. But that's just me. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Speaking of the comment section, I want your thoughts on this quote from Ezra Pound. It doesn't really matter who said it. It's an idea. Real education. That is the process of trying to teach and to learn. What do you think about this idea? It should be limited to those who insist on knowing. That is learning things that can be learned and being certain of the things that they have shown to themselves to be true, not merely parroting speculation. And the idea that there are many people expressing opinions and a fool loves to express his opinion, but the fool takes no pleasure in understanding. What do you think about that? And make sure you go and check out this latest clip show. The feedback for it so far has been fantastic, but I only published it a couple of days ago, so I'm looking forward to seeing more feedback as it comes in. I put a lot of effort into this one, and I took some of the best clips that I could find from the people involved. That is Abdefakegologist, Quantum of Conscience, Tim Osman, and more. That's all I have to say for today. Go and check out the comment section below and have yourselves a lovely day.